Welcome to the DTC Blueprint Podcast, the ultimate guide to performance marketing for DTC brands. We're here to share exciting trends, practical tips, improving strategies that will level up your marketing strategy and scale your revenue profitably. Today, we're focusing on the best Google Ads strategies for DTC brands in 2025, giving you easy tips to boost your campaigns and scale. Well, I'm excited to welcome our guest, Franthoni, a dear old friend and a former colleague and a top Google expert dedicated to maximizing every ad dollar for e-commerce brands. With hands-on experience across international markets and a talent for multilingual PPC strategies, he's a master of cutting costs, boosting profits. So enjoy his insight as he shares how to scale campaigns the smart way. Franthoni, welcome to the show. Could you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Thank you for the intro, Yassine. Yeah, as you mentioned, we've been working for a while, actually like 4 years together almost. So it's been a long time. So I'm originally from the French Caribbean, a small island, yeah, in the Caribbean. Fun fact: the smallest island where two nations are sharing the island. So you have the French and the Dutch that are in that island. So yeah, just grew up most of my life in the Caribbean and started, doing the whole nomad thing. I mean, yeah, prior to PPC, I was working at Carrefour. So my dream back then was to become like a retail manager, just like manage a team and everything. And how I got into PPC was I had a friend on Telegram who just sent me a video of Iman Gaji, as funny as it sounds. And initially, I wanted to start an SMMA, wanted to launch my own agency. Actually, even paid $250 for a logo. Then didn't have much. It's crazy that I paid so much looking back now. And yeah, first agency was called, first project was called Digital Forever.
Mhm.
And I started cold calling. I realized that I sucked at it. And then I got one opportunity to work as a Google Ads media buyer for free for an e-com brand that one of my friends was working at. And that's kind of how I got in, right? So I was able to, help them go from like 6K in revenue to 21K in revenue. And that was where I was like, oh, okay, this feels good. This rush of getting results, I like it. And I anticipated that there was going to be an increase of agencies being created. So why not just double down on media buying? And that's how, I kind of like, that's kind of like the origin story of how I got into PPC.
Exactly. And we met like the first time we met, it was in an agency, Whole Design. That's where we worked for around,
Yeah.
I don't know, 1.5 years. So it was a good journey. There we met each other and learned a lot from each other. And that was the start of the journey. Not exactly the start for me. I started a bit 2 3 years before that, but it was like really when I dived deep into the agency world and the e-commerce world. So
Yeah.
that was great. That was great. That was when you entered. There was around 2020, 2021. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was in 2021 when I entered. I was like, yeah, 6 months prior. I just didn't know what I was doing. I spent every day on YouTube trying to learn, and then we met up at Whole.
Hmm.
Yeah, great agency, great experience. Worked on a lot of projects together, and yeah, we're still here. That's actually where I got most of my initial PPC experience, just from
Hmm.
getting accounts, learning how to manage accounts. So, oh yeah, it was a great time.
Tell us a bit more about like after that. How did you went work with other agencies, then worked on your own clients? Give us a bit more details about the journey that led you to become here now.
Yeah, so after working with Whole, just spent at least 4 years there. I was just getting accounts, some accounts, and then from there I just continued, trying to find agencies on Upwork. That was mainly where I was getting most of my contracts, and
Hmm.
for a very long time I was just stacking agencies, right? So I was like contracting for like 3 to 4 agencies at a time, just getting different size accounts, just getting my feet wet. And it was just mainly that. Like that was the grind that helped me work on, hundreds of projects, speak to hundreds of clients, and also gave me the confidence to, just start believing in myself,
Yeah.
work with one. And that allowed me as well to work on my LTV because most agencies are on a pay per client basis. So if you lose a client, you lose revenue. And that's where I was like really honing in on okay, I need to, make a process where I can, keep a client, for a long enough time so I can have some stability. Because as you know, when you're like contracting, freelancing, it's very unstable. And to date, managed to keep a client for 4 years. So one of those clients from the
Cool.
first year I started,
That's
and
great.
just on average, I would keep good projects 6 months to a year, unless there would be like a hiccup. And then on average, if the project wasn't a good fit, it would just be the average 3 months. But I really honed in on the stats and how I got here. Well, like I said, working with multiple agencies, I met Costas, who who was also working with the guys at Carmbox Media at the time, and he brought me in. And then that's where first year I was just doing Meta and Google, and back in the days it was Facebook, and working closely with Costas, and he was mainly mentoring me in terms of like Facebook ads. And I wanted to grow. I always had this very ambitious, personality, very competitive. And at some point, I just knew that I would never be as good at Facebook as Custis would. And that, within the agency structure, I would always be limited by my own, growth. So that's when I decided in 2022 to go all in Google Ads. I was like, okay, I'm done with Meta. I dropped all my Meta clients. I went in Google. I was already doing Google Ads, but I wasn't happy with how good I was. I felt like there was a unequal balance between my skills. And then, fun fact as well is at the time I was managing like 12 clients, but since I was doing Meta and Google, I was managing like at least 24 accounts, right? And it was crazy looking back on it, but it also was just a part of myself, just pushing myself to just see what my limits are, because I would hear other people do it. I'd be like, oh, this guy's managing 10 accounts. Let me try and do the same. But I was never taking into account that they were probably managing one platform. And I then decided to go on in Google, spend, all my time doubling down on that, created the Google department within Carmax, talked to the founders like, hey, let's do this. And that's really where things started to move, because it was the first time where I was like the only media buyer in a department. I didn't have anyone else to ask questions to. And within now 3 years in the department, we went from just creating the department to managing at least 15 plus accounts, with an average retention rate of 2 years. So we have clients that we kept when we created the department and are still here. And that allowed me to work on multiple accounts, double down on Google, like actually, just master the craft, continue being a student, help me manage, media buyers as well, and actually own an entire department, to the point where like now that's really the main thing that I'm doing on a day-to-day, just like leading the department there with the guys at Carbox Media, and also working on some side projects as well. Like I still work with brands and potential agencies as well who want to consult on their clients. Yeah, now looking back, when I started, I would only dream of like doing what I'm doing now. And to date, well, like I said, leading the department here with the guys at Carbox Media, consulting on a few brands, launched the podcast in January with my co-host Jan and I as another side project. More involved in a community, specifically the PPC Profit Club. So just hosting coffee chats there, and yeah, just scaling brands on a day to day now.
Where can people find your podcast?
So you can find it on Spotify, and you can also find it on YouTube as well. I haven't done a great job of posting about it on LinkedIn because I haven't been super active on content, but we've been uploading regular episodes since January. So
what's the name of the podcast for our listeners?
So the name of the podcast is Clicks in Commerce.
Clicks in Commerce.
Yeah.
Okay. So for everyone interested in mastering Google Ads, go check Clicks in Commerce podcast.
Yeah. You have to check out the DTC blueprint as well.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. So the question I wanted to ask you here, like as it relates to what the other points, like number one, how do you find like the transition from the to Google? Like how did you manage the transition, and overall like your experience in working with agencies compared to the brands, because you work from the brand side, you work from the agency side. So how was that?
The transition from Meta to Google, it was pretty hard at first, just the mindset shift, because To date, what I've noticed is even though I was running meta ads, I didn't have the personality. What I've noticed is compared to, for example, Costas and even yourself as well, I wasn't as fast paced enough back in the day. It would be like, you have a new launch, you need to launch it in 24 hours. Well, that rhythm was too fast for me, one, in terms of like just the work itself. And then in terms of how the platform changes, in Meta, you get results a lot quicker, right? Like you can get results, you can create, images and videos and launch those. And if you have a good content, you can get results within a week. Whereas in Google, you have to be a lot more analytical, take more into account, and the platform just isn't as fast. So for me, I had to learn like for a long time, I was running Google ads how I would run Meta ads, meaning I would be, expecting quick results. I'll be making changes, looking to see that quick jump in
Yeah,
revenue.
exactly.
And I never got that. And I was very frustrated for a long time because every time I would, reach out, whether that be to you or other colleagues for like coaching and mentoring, it would always be the same thing. Like you're taking this the wrong way. So it took me a longer time to feel comfortable in Google than it did in Meta. And now when I look at how Meta has evolved, yeah, I was definitely not gonna, continue in like the creative side and everything. So it definitely changed a lot. But that knowledge of running the Meta ads definitely allowed me to be able to just understand the whole process now, because now I know, what's going on in the thought process, the offers, make sure that your creative is on point, make sure that your messaging is right. And I can even, give insights to clients when I'm speaking to them from a Google Ads perspective. And it allows me as well to remove my ego and know that some brands are social first brands, right? So even if you have the greatest media buyer on Google, if your brand sells first on social, whether that be Meta, TikTok, Instagram, then that's where you need to go. So that's been an interesting case, as well as just collaborating with Meta media buyers when I'm on multiple calls. Like when I'm on calls with them, I understand what they're talking about. It's so it really made the account management part and just the strategy part a lot easier to digest. And this is also agency side as well, because you're involved with multiple teams, especially when you're contracting, you're coming in as just in addition to the team. And it's been good. What I've seen with agencies is that it's the same challenge. Everyone's trying to grow, get like acquisition is the main bottleneck that most agencies face, and also retention rate, both on the client side and also on the team side. And that's where, for example, a lot of my agency partnerships have lasted multiple years, just because that's just the mindset that I have when I come into a business or a team that I want to help out. The big difference with brand side, because I did work brand side for a full year as well for a supplement brand in Europe, and it was great. It was a lot slower. You had more time to go deep into the analytics. I had time to work on CRO. I had time to launch meta ads for them. I even launched some meta campaigns. Had time to collaborate with the Amazon team. So I would say the big difference is brand side. You're involved in a lot more things than in the agency side. You have more time. Agency is
In depth.
yeah, you're more
It's more in
it's more
depth.
in depth.
Yeah, you have more in depth experience and
I think it depends on your personality. What I've realized is I enjoyed working brand side, but while I was working brand side, I also missed the agency rush because that's how I started. I feel like it's one of those things where, the fact that you can see multiple accounts, there's always something going on. But it does get draining if you don't set boundaries, which is one thing that I've been, focusing a lot more on, setting a stricter routine, time on, time off, because you can in the agency space, in the e-com space, you can work all day long if you want. Like that's just
Hey, we could definitely work 16 hours per day, and I think you've been guilty with that. Like
yeah,
just
and you know this as well. And I think
yeah.
one of the biggest challenges that I've had is work-life balance. Whereas because I didn't have a strict routine or I didn't have the right system in places, I would always feel like I'm not working enough, and then I would just stretch my days like 10 hours. I would be working 10 hours, but in reality, I probably only work like 6. But there's like 4 hours of like procrastination, trying to manage. And the truth is, for a long time, I was trying to optimize a workload that wasn't optimizable, if I can say that.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly,
Like I said,
exactly. Like when that happened to me also. Like whenever you have like just too much work, like too many clients to manage, it just becomes impossible. Like no matter how much you optimize the hours you have, it just never ending cycle. Like there is a time that you need to sit and really analyze everything and make sure like, okay, like I have 10 clients, for example, managing Google Ads or wherever, and how much time should I give per week to each client? Like this client will take this many hours. It's more draining to have a lot. It's a bigger project, while this client only takes 1 hour. And you need to like really project that into the week. Like you need to
Yeah,
do the work
that's
before actually coming to the week, and you know that okay, I have the capacity to actually do
yeah.
this. But if you have 20 clients and you have only 8 hours of work per day, it becomes impossible to manage, like, or 30 clients or wherever. It's, you know, that's impossible to manage, and you can't really do that.
Yeah,
So it's always good to, it's called like capacity management or resource management, and this is something I'm doing also on my agency now. I really put
yeah,
for each team member how many hours per each project, and this is something I really missed when I was in the agency world. When I was working as a specialist at the agencies, most of them, some of them had systems, but most of them didn't have this like in place. Like how much hours should they allocate to each project, and which are the projects that are higher priority, which are the lowest priority, and which is the mid priority. How should I allocate the time? This is a really
yeah,
important piece to make sure everything is well done and you are not overworked. Like this is something agencies ignore.
a lot.
They pass 20 clients to you and say, okay, you should figure it out.
Yeah, it's
Well, how to do it? Yeah.
it's tough, and also obviously you have a lot of good agencies that have great systems in place, but you know the
Yeah.
smaller agencies when they're building up, they're on a pay per client basis, and you know as a freelancer contractor, you're incentivized to try and take as many clients as you can to make decent
Yeah.
revenue, but that's the
Exactly.
trap because at a certain
Exactly.
amount of revenue, the workload is not manageable, and you're you're just gonna burn out, right? Which yeah happened to me as well. Just got drained, had to restructure, and you need good clients. That's really the what I've noticed is it's better to have like 5 projects that you can keep for a year, 2 years, or
Hmm.
than 10, 15 that are just like switching. Like the constant losing a client, getting a client is draining,
Yeah.
meeting new people. We're also in the people's business. We speak to a lot of people. It
Exactly.
takes a lot of energy as well. So
Yeah.
I feel like setting boundaries is important. Time management is important, especially in this phase, because whenever a client requests something, it always feels like it's the highest priority. And then if you're receiving like 10 requests a day. So yeah, it was a very tough period. Actually, I would say it was up until recently that I've like last 6 months that I've been really going down the path of like, okay, like being more lean, took some coaching calls on that as well. Like no calls on Monday, well, no client calls on Monday, no client calls on Fridays. Obviously, there's exceptions
Absolutely.
to that, but
Yeah.
you know, on average now, I don't have calls every day, blocking out time for deep work, blocking out time for the gym to get that more involved. Because back in the day, it was just be like, I have so much to do that I felt that even taking 40 minutes to go outside is time that I'm losing.
You
You
probably
just,
feel
yeah,
guilty.
yeah, it's a terrible space to be in. Like mentally, it's not a fun place. So I think
Yeah.
entering the industry with good mentors, which I had as well, help understand that, and also good just working routines that you don't necessarily have when you're starting out. Like when I started, I was 21. I finished school like a year ago, so I wasn't really even used to keeping a
Yeah.
job for more than 3 months. So it was a lot of initial bad habits that I had to break out on my own. So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, it is definitely difficult. It's definitely difficult to get that balance right and not really overwhelm yourself. And it's also on the agency, like to really help their freelancers and help their workers get a better balance and manage their workflow. For example, on my agency, DTC Nova, what we're doing is like just hourly work with everyone. So they're not working on a project basis, but just hourly. So this way, it's only fair work. If they have more work, they will increase the hours. If not, well, maybe decrease the amount of hour per project. So it's more on an hourly basis and like a performance bonuses, but not on a client basis. Like the client basis model it's good for the agency. It's really great for the agency because they don't have to worry about anything.
yeah,
They just give you the client and yeah, you manage everything. And we don't care. That's really good for them.
Take full
But
responsibility.
it's not good for the freelancer since it's putting more stress. And if he's ambitious like you want to make more, you want to really expand, you will start taking more and more and more and more clients and not managing the capacity. So there is like a capacity management side that needs to go into this, and not take the maximum amount of clients.
For sure. Yeah. No.
But it's good. It's good. And like currently, what current projects are you excited about? What current projects are you working on? Tell us a bit more, like podcast, work, clients.
Yeah, so like I said, well, yeah, this year the goal is to just work on my personal brand a lot more. So I've been obviously start of the year hasn't been great. I haven't been posting as much, but just become an authority in the space. So just like try to get my name out there more, make more content. That's really one big thing. I feel like everyone's doing that. Everyone says they have to do that, but it's really the needle mover because what I noticed after all these years, after like 5 years of running accounts and some accounts, some clients, you get personally attached to them, you try and go above and beyond. And then, because you're working with the client through an agency, when the client leaves, they don't have any emotional attachment like probably you would have developed in cases where it was going well. And when you don't have access to the account, you don't have anything. Like that's why I realized I was like, okay, I did all of this, I worked on these accounts, but what do I actually have to show for it? Like where is the actual tangible thing that I can say, okay, this is the result of the last 5 years of work. And the only thing that I found is your content, right? Like the image and the message that you send online, just like the ones previous to us did it. And I feel like now I'm viewing it from that perspective in terms of just like planting seeds, and actually I can go back and look back 5 years from now. I'm like, okay, I actually made this post. Like I can still see a trace of it. Whereas, we're paid for a service, right? So the client doesn't owe us anything. Like your goal is to get them to 100K. You got them to 100K. You can make a cool post about it, but at the end of the day, that was a service, that was a ride. So now I'm shifting more from that like freelance mindset to actually trying to like more business mindset, like actually being a part of projects. So like I said, a podcast, have a SEO project as well. We're writing, articles. That's something that allowed me to grow and just improve my SEO knowledge, which was the missing piece for Google. Super involved in the department with the Canvax media team, managing a few accounts, and just that I would say like that's really evolved. The relationship I've had the last 2 years have just really evolved into just like bigger projects. Clients that we've been working with for 2 3 years have grown now, spending 6 figures a month on Google Ads, which was something that I really wanted to get to. I remember I was saying like I want to manage big budgets, Now doing that. But the thing I'm most excited about this year is just being consistent. I really want to see how, whether that be the podcast or the content, how it's going to evolve after like 1 year of actually putting time into it. So yeah, those are the and then side note as well. Like when I'm not, running Google Ads, I'm actually playing League of Legends. So I'm actually in an amateur team. It's actually fun. It takes me like an hour because
that's really cool.
I realized like all work, no fun isn't fun. Like for a very long time, I was on this like super Sam Ovens mentality, like work every day, every second of the day. But
work, no play. That's really good. That's really good to find something that de-stresses you after the work.
Yeah.
That's something really important. Like as long as you're doing the work, as long as you're really serious about it, you're taking the hours, you're doing your best, you really deserve like a bit of time for you to reflect and to relax and take your mind off the constant grind. So that's a really good thing. For me, it's just more about like series and TV shows, and movies and things like that. But I really want to go back to the gaming world. Like I really miss that also. It's
So I feel like I used to play football a lot, and as I've grown, I'm more afraid of getting hurt because it's a contact sport. You can football, you can definitely get hurt. Like every weekend I would play and hurt my knee or something. So obviously now I'm doing like calisthenics, just like training on my own. That's more. But I realized that I still missed the competitive space, and being that we're so digitally connected, for me, it just made sense to. I feel like the online gaming world, obviously, like doesn't even matter the game, but I feel like the esports world is the natural connection to our industry and our and what we're doing because we spend 80% of our times online already.
Absolutely.
At least
Yeah.
that's how I've kind of viewed.
Yeah, that's like the digital is an extension of our life.
Yeah,
Like we live in the digital
yeah.
world more in the real world. So that's a good thing. And really, like League of Legends, I've heard really good things about it. Still, I never played it. I watched this show. It's called Arcane
Yeah, it was based on.
on Netflix. It was amazing. Like that show is really great. That's I
I
recommend it.
actually haven't
It's
watched
really
it.
really good.
I've been playing the game for a while, but I haven't watched it. So definitely check it out.
It's amazing. I'm telling you, it's amazing. You should go watch it, especially if you're a player of the game. I think you'll love it even more. Me, I didn't know anything about the game. It was just that
I'll check it
story.
out
It was
this
very
weekend. Actually,
captivating.
that's definitely. Thank you for the
Uh,
recommendation.
yeah, absolutely. Go check it out. And I should be playing a bit more games, a bit more PC and maybe PlayStation games. That's something for me to do later on. I'm still also just
I'm.
wanting to be like disciplined, just make sure everything is done as it should be, the work is done as it should be. I'm
I
doing my
I
best.
feel like
That's
it's a balance that I'm still trying to manage because there's this side of me that sometimes I'm like I still do feel guilt. I'm like okay, I could have probably and when I play, it's not like I'm playing like 4 hours. I usually like time cap it to like maximum an hour and a half, 2 hours. Because on an average, a
mhm.
game lasts 20 to 25 minutes. I'm very like, I'm trying to like even optimize the game. I'm like, okay, in an hour and a half, I could probably play 3 games max. And then that's it. But then I would be guilty. I would like guilt trip myself into saying, okay, I'm not doing enough content. I'm not learning enough. I haven't taken a course. So it feels like there's always something to do. And I do find that you have to really like just do things that will make you confirm and not feel guilty about yourself. So, like, for example, like have this like very strict to do. Like if I work on this and if I work on if I analyze accounts and optimize accounts, if I write a post, if I work out that day, if I do those 3 things, that would have been a win. That's kind of like how I'm trying to like shift it so that if I do something after, I don't feel like, oh, I'm not doing anything or I'm missing out.
Yeah, definitely. You shouldn't be feeling guilty about that. Like if you finish your work day, you've done what you should have done, you hit your daily goals, you make sure everything is organized, you check the clients, you go to the gym if possible, or if that's the day for the gym, you do whatever you have to do. Then whatever free time you had is something you deserve. Like you deserve that. You should enjoy it fully. And this is also something that is an equivalent to this in the financial world, like in managing the money. You should always have like a part of the paycheck that's just fun money, maybe
Yeah.
$300, maybe something like that. If you manage your money correctly, you have your savings, you have your investments, you have everything else, you still have your fun money. Like you do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, that's a
And
great
that's the
thing.
same, it's the same equivalent to this to what we are talking about. Like if you've done your part of the day, you've done your job, you've hit your goals for that day, then you have 4 free hours, 6 free hours, do whatever you want with it. That's completely your time. You shouldn't be really feeling guilty about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a great tip. I'll definitely keep that in mind more often.
Absolutely. Well, switching gears a bit into the more technical worlds, the boring stuff, but not boring for us. It's very exciting for us, maybe for other people. So the AI, I want really to dive a bit deep in the AI and the Google pushing toward that and its campaigns, especially PMAX. The management is a bit less AI-ish, but the PMAX, I really want to deep dive into that. Tell me, what do you think about the campaign? How did you use it? What kind of results did you see? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, PMAX. So initially when it launched, everyone was a bit like hesitant, like, oh, what's really gonna happen? I think in the last 3 years, it's been 2 years and a half, 3 years if I'm not mistaken, that PMAX rolled out. And Google has made a phenomenal job of just improving the product. The advertisers had to complain a lot about it, but they do it. In terms of results, obviously now in every account we manage, you have a PMAX campaign. Actually, I still to this day have this kind of resistance when it comes to PMAX. My personal take is that I've never seen um, providing assets to a PMAX campaign actually provide incremental value. Like I haven't seen that yet in an account. I'm still looking, I'm still open to seeing that. So with that being said, I'm running PMAX as a smart shopping campaign. So just going down the feed only route. Some hardcore rules that I still live by is like feed only and excluding brand. Every now and again, we will test a PMAX campaign and put some assets just to confirm the statement that I made, that I still haven't seen anything come from it. But I've been really reading reports on PMAX. You have Mike Ryan that drops a lot of these reports. And what I've seen on those reports and what I've seen in the accounts is that on average, PMAX outperforms other campaign types. On average, right? So on average, when you launch a PMAX campaign, if you have a minimum of foundation, you'll get some form of results. I also have accounts where initially the account was set up just for a PMAX campaign, and then we would come in and try and break it out of that PMAX campaign and actually go down the search, standard shopping route, we wouldn't get the similar results. So we would always have to kind of reverse. So that's on rare cases I've seen that. But like I said, I have seen that Google does favor PMAX in terms of results in the account compared to other campaign types. Now I'm being more flexible with it because Google has made a lot of improvements. It's not so much the case anymore. Standard shopping now, it's a campaign type that I'm launching more and more in a lot of accounts just because of that control you have on the search terms, which this argument as well isn't going to be super relevant anymore because PMAX Google just rolled out negative keywords in PMAX. My one frustration there though is they don't have negative keyword lists in the account yet. You still have to contact them, but
this is not something that's rolled out to all accounts. Like you can't use negatives on PMAX.
So you can you can add negative keywords individually in the PMAX campaign, but you can't add a negative keyword list yet in the account.
Yeah, you can't add lists.
You have to still.
That's very weird.
That doesn't. I'm still surprised why they would do one half and not. But yeah,
sometimes they just really stingent with these features. I don't know why. And also something that's big that's still holding me back from really going all in on PMAX. I'm not a super big fan of PMAX, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
I still find the classic structure really outperforms. The thing with PMAX is usually it blends everything together, so it's really hard to see what's coming from there. And even if you exclude the branded, this isn't, I think, something.
Yeah, it's not.
Confirm.
It's not going to change.
It's not all excluded. It's still showing a bit on shopping. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, you really don't know what's going on in the campaign. There's a lot more improvements. There's a lot more visibility now. You can see the keywords. You can see at least grouped keywords. There's really a lot of improvement that will roll in. What I'm still waiting for is like seeing actually the breakdown, the exact breakdown of everything in each channel. I want to see how much coming from search, how much. I know you have a solution around this, and we can talk about it. But natively, they don't break down like where is it coming from? Is it coming from search? Is it shopping? Is it display? Where is the money coming from? And that's what I want to see, and also have the ability to actually exclude a placement if I see this is not the right placement. Like if I see like partners network, I know it can be excluded, but if I see this is not working out, I don't want that. This is something they added in the demand gen.
Yeah.
I think it has now, like you can exclude some placements, you can select only Gmail or only YouTube. So this is really good. Like I want to see this push more on PMAX. So you have a solution around this. Like, can you share a bit more about that? Like how to see the placement, the script?
Yeah, I feel like obviously you have the micro script that everyone in the industry, a lot of people in the industry are using. Not everyone. I still audit accounts where they're like running full scale PMAX, spending thousands of dollars without a script, and I'm always shocked to see that. I do feel like if Google gives us the ability to see the placements and actually optimize based off of that, it kind of destroys the entire purpose of the campaign. Because if you can look at your PMAX placement and see that, okay, well, in reality, Google is just generating conversions from shopping. Well, might as well just go all in on standard shopping. Like there's no need.
Yeah.
So
I
feel like
something to keep.
They have to. I'm curious to see how they're going to work that around. Is it going to be like, okay, if you're running shopping within PMAX, you'll get favor, right? And then that's going to confirm that obviously they're favoring and you'll get more impression share through PMAX. But then, like, what's the ultimate difference? And we know that PMAX has dynamic remarketing involved, whereas standard shopping doesn't have that element. So I feel like ultimately PMAX is just going to be a super bottom of the funnel campaign that leans heavy into meta traffic. That's another discovery that I've made, at least in some of the smaller accounts, where if meta is your highest spending platform, PMAX is going to ride the same wave that Meta's riding. Meaning when Meta's doing well, your PMAX campaigns are going to do well. When Meta's doing bad, and that setup is what we see when we take over accounts from a lot of Meta agencies that just set up the account. But what we want to come in and do is set up PMAX as a acquisition channel, like Google as an acquisition channel, so you don't rely on PMAX that much. But going back to the script, I feel like that's a big like value that they provided to the industry, like just those guys that like Micro, shout out to Micros for creating his script. That was the initial one. And when auditing accounts now, it's like easy, no script. You pop the script. They're usually doubling down, and PMAX most of the time is converted on shopping and search, right? And that's why I said like I haven't seen a single account, even account spending 100,000 a month, where like display network was converted. Like it doesn't happen on its own. It's not gonna happen inside of PMAX. But Google keeps selling that. So yeah, that's an interesting.
That's the whole reason. Like, to be honest, I think that's a big reason why Google is rolling the PMAX. Like, they want to just confuse everything in one place. So they kind of sell you maybe like a subpar inventory.
Yeah, for sure.
They're selling you something that's not like the best for you sometimes, not always, but that's a big reason why they're just confounding everything in one place. You don't really see what's coming from where. But until this moment, like for me, Google, like their prime placement is search and shopping. Those are the bread and butter of Google. That's where they excel really and where they shine. Yeah. And where they are different, very different from
they're trying to change that though. They're trying to change that. The last updates have been, you know, like YouTube's revenue increased. I think it was the last time they did the financial report. They're pushing demand gen, and like actually now for the first time, like we're actually seeing results on YouTube ads, right? Like not to steer away from the conversation, but like in some accounts I'm running, and this is more on the info product space, we're getting pretty consistent results with YouTube, but you still have to spend a lot and it takes time. You still have a long run.
I'm a big fan actually of demand gen. Like the way it's structured and the way it's laid out, it's really good. And you have the ability to test the ads and really structure them in a way that's very similar to Meta. And since I'm a mixed media buyer, so I'm into Google, I'm into Meta, I'm into TikTok, I'm all over the place. So I'm good at using that, and I'm seeing some good results in some accounts with demand gen, where we're leveraging shorts. This is a strategy that we're using, really pushing toward that. Like ROAS is 1.5, 2, some accounts is 3. It's really going good for this one client in USA. It's really going good. And what they're doing is like they're just repurposing some of the content they have on Meta, on TikTok.
Yeah.
And they're just posting it on Shorts, and we're just boosting that into Shorts. And it's getting really good results sometimes. Of course, if you have the capacity to really just create YouTube optimized shorts, that would be the best strategy. But if you don't, you still have this possibility to really take some of your best performance in Meta and TikTok and really put them into demand gen. Previously, it was video action campaigns, but they're going to change that. I just received an email.
Yeah, I'm actually bummed about that. I was really enjoying, because I haven't seen good results with demand gen yet. I haven't gotten those great numbers yet. I guess now once they retire video action campaigns, they're gonna boost it more. But most of the results I got on YouTube was true video action campaigns.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like it's easier to set up as well, but hey, it's part of the evolution, right? It's part of the growth.
Yeah, they want to push, like when they want to push this campaign, they just kill.
Yeah, exactly.
That's their strategy. I'm just hoping they don't kill shopping. That would be really bad for me.
I feel like that's too much of an important product to kill, even if they wanted to transition to PMAX, because like you were saying, PMAX is just a combination of all. Like when you look at how demand gen is set up, and you look at search and shopping, PMAX is just one demand gen campaign and one search and shopping campaign, right? Because demand gen, like all the placements that demand gen is targeting, PMAX is targeting the same placements, right? It's just that you're not controlling the budget. So there's not a different. It's just that Google generates results through PMAX, and that we can always justify.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. That's exactly what happens. It's they're pushing that more, and demand gen PMAX is targeted, as you said, like all demand gen placements. With demand gen, you have a bit more control, so that's what I really like about it. It's a really good campaign. And we were talking earlier about like incremental attribution or incremental results that coming from PMAX. I want to really take you like hear your take about this, like about attribution, like how DTC brands accurately measure their ROI from their Google ads spend. Do you use tools, scripts? What's the best attribution model? Walk me through a bit
Yeah.
that process.
Attribution is the black hole that we always try to solve with every
Mm-hmm.
client. Sometimes we tell clients, hey, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, you're not 100% sure you're going to get what you want, right? Because what some clients want is to be like, oh, okay, this is exactly how this conversion happened. They clicked on this exact platform
Mm-hmm.
and then boom, they converted. Especially through Google, Google has forced us more on data-driven attribution, so just like multiple touch points. And lately, we've been reinforcing that with third-party attribution platforms like Triple Whale, like Hyros. Those are the main ones that I'm using. Definitely not an affiliate, but those are the main ones that I'm using. And when a client is spending six figures plus on advertising, like whether that be 100K on Meta, 50K on Google, or vice versa, or even, a million on Meta, multiple 100K on Google, they
Mm-hmm.
need a source of truth because every platform wants to look good. It's just the nature of the platform. So in those cases, like I said, we look at Triple Whale, look at Hyros. And in regards to PMAX, what I've discovered is that for some reason, the third-party attribution tools, like the way I frame it is they like PMAX because PMAX looks really good on third-party attribution kind of tools. Like I've seen some, I'm like, oh wow. So, when you look at Triple Whale, even Hyros, and you're looking at new customers and you see that PMAX actually brought in a bunch of new customers, I'm almost like, what? Okay, that's interesting. I'm like, okay. And so that's something that personally I'm trying to still like crack. Like okay, PMAX is actually bringing in new people. Not saying the campaign type coding. When I actually see it, you know, I'm like, so when you combine PMAX with a third party attribution tool, at least in my experience, I usually see that it looks even better than on the platform, right? So I
Nice,
don't
nice.
know, like I don't know how the campaign type is doing it, but it always looks good on third party tools. So
Yeah,
it's a combination of third party platforms, which is not the end all be all either, because you still have a gap again, right? So the final solution, what we found with clients, is daily tracking. Like that's more tedious, more manual, but on a daily basis, actually tracking what came in and what came out. I mean, that's what we found to be
Mm-hmm.
the most efficient.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you should be looking into it from multiple angles. Attribution is a really complicated problem. And also it depends on the size of the
Yeah.
business. I found like for smaller businesses, they shouldn't really put a lot of effort into this. Like if you're making less than 1 million per year
Yeah.
or 500,000 dollars per year, that's not something you should do. You can invest into that, but don't really stress about that a lot. Once you go bigger than that, especially if you have multiple channels, like if you're running Google, you run in Facebook, you run in Pinterest, you run in TikTok. Now you really want to know where the conversion is coming from. It's much more important. While if you're just running meta ads, you know that at least 50% of your revenue or 60% of your revenue is coming from that channel. So you shouldn't really worry about it. Plus, something that I found, like just as a mental method of dealing with that, like as long as we're talking about the same platform, like if we're talking about Google, I'm just focusing on in-platform data.
Yeah.
And that's it. Because I'm trying to optimize this campaign versus the other campaign. And since they are using the same attribution model, the results are actually should be very, very similar. So I mean, like if it's showing 2x ROAS with this campaign and 3x ROAS with this campaign, if you use the software, it will be very similar. It will be, for example, 1 ROAS and 2 ROAS for the other campaign. So you can use in-platform data to optimize and really give a budget into different campaigns. When I'm seeing like the attribution tools are super useful is when you're working with multiple
Yeah.
channels, like when you're working with Facebook, Google, and TikTok, and all of that, and you really need to see. You really need to know how much budget I should put in each of the channels in total. At least that's
No,
where I see
yeah, I
it's
agree.
most
I
useful.
agree. I think it's when you need clarity on what's going on, and like I said, you need a source of truth, right? Because every channel wants to make themselves look good. So that's been the experience. It's something that shifted a lot more. Like I would say, 2021, 22. When I started out, there wasn't that many attribution models. It was just take Facebook data for what it is, take Google data for what it
Exactly.
is. So it was cool to see that shift as well. Whereas now it's like everything is AI, and you have Google's Marketing Live, which is coming up next month, which, as we know,
Mhm.
the last Marketing Live was AI driven. And yeah, I'm excited to see as well how Google is evolving their attribution model, their platform as well, to just stay up to date.
Absolutely, absolutely. And overall, in my experience, Google is a bit conservative in their attribution, while Meta is just goes crazy, attributing all results to it.
Man, it's
That's
I always feel like it's an unfair battle when sometimes I come into, brands,
yeah,
agencies, I'm just, one team is managing Google, one team is managing Meta. And it's always, I always have this unfair feeling where I'm like, how
yes,
is Meta able to generate these results? Because what I notice is, Google more like in demand. So when there's not demand, you're not going to get results. Whereas Meta
of
obviously
course.
generates demand. But there's sometimes where I'm just like, wow, Meta managed to generate a 5x when we're at a 2x in Google because there's a drop in
Yeah,
demand. I'm always impressed and surprised at the same time because I'm like, and you see this across a lot of the accounts. Like it's really hard to overturn Meta, and even whether that be on spend and attribution as well.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Like Meta is just always over attributing. Well, sometimes it's very accurate, but a lot of the time it's over attributing. Well, Franthoni, thank you, thanks a lot. I know you got to run now, so let me know where can our audience like follow your work for more Google Ads insights. What's the best places to reach you?
Yeah, so I'm only on LinkedIn. That's the only platform that I'm actively like posting and just engaging on. So you can definitely find me on LinkedIn, Franthony Wynham. And yeah, that's mainly where I'm at. If not, you could probably find me in a few communities. I'm in the Foxhole Founders community. I'm in RPPC. So if you're ever in one of those
Yeah.
communities, definitely hit me up.
Absolutely. So it was a really pleasure talking to you, Franklin. It was a really great episode. And that's a wrap for this episode of DTC Blueprint Podcast. Huge thanks to Franklin for joining us
Thank you
and sharing
guys.
his incredible insights. Just mastering Google Ads, he's a really master of his craft.
I appreciate it, Yassine.
Absolutely. And don't forget to follow Franthoni on LinkedIn for more cutting edge strategies and real world case studies. He's sharing a lot of really valuable insights on LinkedIn. If you want to up your Google Ads game, that's where you should be. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review, subscribe so you never miss an update. And thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time with more actionable strategies to elevate your DTC marketing game. Until then, keep scaling profitably.